friends, and welcome to Starry Hilda's Off-Grid Kitchen. Today I am going to share with you a real quick, easy recipe for canning your own ground meat. This is a really easy recipe that anybody can do. All you need is a pressure canner and ground hamburger, ground pork, ground chicken. In fact, we just got done processing some of our meat birds and we ground some of that meat up and we are going to can it. We don't store a lot of food in freezers. We just don't rely on the freezers. We always have the mentality, if something goes wrong, we want food preservation here on our homestead, which means we can a lot and we store a lot in that pantry for long term. So this is a great recipe and so easy to do. So it doesn't make any difference if you bought a whole bunch of hamburger at the store, good for you, and you got it on sale, or like I said, you're processing some of your pig, chicken, whatever. This is a raw packed method that is super easy. So what you need right now is your ground meat, and you're going to need some canning jars. You can do pint jars or quart jars, and you definitely are going to need a pressure canner for this recipe. Okay, I'll bring you along and I'm going to show you how easy it is. I want to address something real quickly, and that's sterilizing jars. Or no, you don't need to sterilize jars. This is a rule of thumb when it comes to canning. If the processing time for your food in a water bath or a pressure canner is 10 minutes or more, you don't need to sterilize your jars. You don't need to put them in the oven for 10-15 minutes. You don't need to put them in a dishwater washer and run them through the hot cycle. You don't need to do any of that because your pressure canner and your water bath will do it for you while it is cooking. Okay, so that is the rule of thumb. Remember that. So today in our raw packed method, we don't need to sterilize the jars. Okay, so let's get raw packing. Okay, first thing that we're going to do is just make sure our canning jars are clean. That means washing them with soap and water. Remember, rule of thumb is if you are processing any food for 10 minutes or more, you don't need to sterilize those jars, okay? That is the rule of thumb. All right. Okay, so I'm doing a really small recipe, but what I like to do with my ground meats that I'm going to pack in my jars is I do add my flavorings at this time. I've got my diced onion, I added a little bit of garlic pepper seasoning to here, and I mixed it all up. And what you simply do, and remember, your hamburger, your ground pork, ground chicken needs to be thawed. It needs to be thawed. And I have to tell people sometimes these things because, if it's the first time, you don't know. Now, when you pack your jars, this is a tip. You really want to pack them tight when it comes to the ground meat, because what's going to happen is it's going to make its own juice and the meat is going to shrink. Everything shrinks in a canning jar. As you pack them tight and you make sure there's no air pockets, I give them about an inch of headspace. It's going to be really important to make sure that they have some headspace. I think people forget about the headspace. I'm gonna grab some of these mixed beans. Look at that. Aren't those beautiful? So if you haven't seen my how to can beans video, you got to make sure you watch those too, because you see, I didn't even soak these beans. I just simply grabbed my beans and I'm putting some warmed hot water in my jars, and they're gonna can up with my ground meat. Yeah, see, I am like 10 to 1, Mr. Hilder. It's the truth. It really is. He's out there talking on the phone, and look at what I'm doing in here. I'm getting stuff done. All right, let's go out and start processing our ground meat. All-American canner, but remember, friends, it doesn't make any difference if you have a Presto canner or an All-American canner. You can use either one for this recipe, but your processing time is going to be 75 minutes for pints and 90 minutes for quart jars. And don't forget to vent your pressure canner. Very important. Canner is now vented for 10 minutes, and hopefully yours is. And our next final step is you're going to get your weight, your little jiggler, and you're going to put it on. And depending on where you're at, you check your own recipe book, because depending on your altitude, it might not be 10 pounds. But for me here in the mountains, it is going to be 10 pounds. Gonna put that right on there. And when that jiggler starts to jiggle, then we count down 75 minutes for pints and 90 minutes for quarts. Gotta have a good ear, so make sure you listen.